Hello there. Playing Assassin's Creed Origins, and we're back to exploring, going through tours, and I think I have only one left now, and that's pyramids. So we're moving to first and fast travel. Okay, so I think I finished everything there. This is the last one. We have 16 to go. I don't know how big they are. Um, oh my. Okay, so let's start.
Welcome to The Origin of the Pyramid.
Okay, yeah. Oh my.
The origin of the word pyramid
Okay,
is
yeah.
controversial. Most believe that it originates with the Greek word pyramis, which referred to a bread of conical
Oopsie.
shape. During the
Bread?
pre-dynastic period, the development of funerary practices was different, depending on whether one was. In Upper Egypt,
Jumpy, jumpy.
pre-dynastic practices are easier to study, but reveal more complex funerary rites. During the three
Gotcha.
Nagata periods, ranging from
Woohoo.
4000 BCE to 3510 BCE, funerary practices evolved in complexity. The, the term mastaba, meaning massive bench in dialectal Arabic, refers to a form of funerary architecture that was present in Egypt from the Archaic period
Oopsie.
to the Middle Kingdom. The arrangement of the substructure of the mastaba evolved during the course of the Old Kingdom. The Sixth
Okay,
Dynasty would see art used to its utmost.
so
The
that's it.
entire surface of a mastaba would be covered in scenes of daily life, illustrating the prosperity of those lucky enough to comfortably spend eternity near the pyramid of a pharaoh. The best example of this type of mastaba is the tomb of Meroruka in Saqqara.
Okay, so next and next and next.
Welcome to the Step Pyramid Complex
Okay,
of Djoser.
where are we going?
The Step Pyramid is a The Step Pyramid is the first monument built of stone, standing at 60 meters high. It was the tallest of its time. The Step Pyramid complex is enclosed within a 1,600-meter long wall that is 10 meters high. This large wall, while there are 14 doors, only its eastern door was intended to accommodate the living. The remaining The only real entrance into the complex is at the end of a long, narrow passageway. The corridor is lined with 20 pairs of columns up to 6 meters high, built by stacking stone drums. The completed facade was made to resemble. Chambers are located on either side of the columns and are thought to be chapels representing the provinces of Upper and Lower Egypt. According to some Egyptologists, the arrangement of the rooms may be symbolic of Jerusalem. Guarded by a line of carved snakes, this tomb is a polished limestone staircase. The architect Imhotep chose a staircase allowing the pharaoh to. Pharaoh Djoser the Sacred was the founder of the Third Dynasty.
Okay.
He ruled for 19 years.
How many more?
During his reign, Djoser was associated with the sky god Horus in his human form. A plinth near the step pyramid is inscribed with his name. The funerary complex was built to resemble Djoser's palace, with the stone carved to imitate mud brick, trees, and reeds. Creating these details and softer textures in hard stone would have been a time-consuming, labor-intensive task. In the corner is a temple referred to as T. This temple is among the most mysterious structures in the complex. The Hebsed festival enabled the pharaoh to maintain universal order and renew. Within the complex of Djoser, southeast of the pyramid, is a dedicated space for this essential ritual to be performed by the king even in the afterlife. The Hebsed courtyard is lined with false chapels and equipped with a platform featuring 2 staircases meant to represent Upper and Lower Egypt. Located in the courtyard, the 2 pavilions are believed to represent the palaces of Upper and Lower Egypt. Rectangular in shape, the 2 replica structures face one another. The funerary temple is on the north side of the complex, facing the stars where the deceased ruler was believed to travel after death. Within this temple was the pharaoh's serdab.
Okay, so we're
The
here.
north wall has 2 observation holes. A statue of Djoser is seated on the throne, wearing a mantle and a tripartite wig with a crown known as a Nemes. Representing the king's ka, this statue looks through the observation holes into the courtyard, enabling the king to observe the ceremonies and receive offerings in the afterlife.
Okay. So this is third. So the rest going faster appears no more than 4 stations. So I'm curious, am I going to get, after finishing this one as well? What now? I'm going down.
Welcome to Inside Djoser's Step Pyramid. The architect of the Step Pyramid, Imhotep, was a man of great importance to Pharaoh Djoser and ancient Egyptians in general. From the design of the pyramid to the elements within the complex itself, Imhotep set out to create something that would immortalize his king. An architectural achievement, the Step Pyramid was made from stone blocks instead of mud brick. It was the first time Egyptians built a monument of that height. In addition to the central
33.
subterranean palace built for Djoser, 11 wells were dug. Each went to a depth of 33 meters and connected with a horizontal gallery extending for about 20 meters. The first 5 galleries were intended for members of the royal family.
I have no idea where am I going even. Can't see anything.
2 passages lead underground and branch off in 3 directions to various magazine galleries. This vast underground space accommodated sections for storage and ceremonial offerings. One of the tunnels, starting on the east side of the pyramid, the burial chamber of Djoser is located at the bottom of a 28-meter deep central shaft. According to Egyptologist Jean-Philippe, at the foot of the chamber are many tunnels going in all directions. Unlike the Great Pyramid of Giza or Menkaure, the Pyramid of Djoser does not have any extra openings dug out by thieves. There was no need for them because of the pharaoh's apartments, also known as the Blue Chambers, are decorated with blue-green tiles meant to imitate the reed. There are two long rooms running side by side along a north-south axis. The south room has false doors separated by stone panels, while the north room is a corridor which allows access to side chambers.
So we're done.
The door frames are made of fine limestone and carved with the king's name. As in the south tomb, reliefs are carved into the doorways. These reliefs show the king performing rituals and visiting divine sanctuaries for all eternity. Their interiors are fictive additions made by the team to add to the wonders of the tomb. It is clear from the elaborate detail and scale of the complex that this funerary monument was a technological marvel of its time.
Amazing. What's that? Okay, let's go back. So, first pyramid. Okay, let's start.
Welcome to Sneferu's first pyramid. With the long reign of Sneferu, the first king of the 4th dynasty, the most brilliant and creative period began. While Sneferu's monument started as a 7-stepped pyramid, it was later altered. The smooth dressing of the walls did not provide sufficient bonding, however, and the outer casing did not. As well as the smooth sides, it was the first time a ceremonial pavement was built, leading from the valley to the temple of the pyramid. Another innovation was that of the funerary chamber, which was no longer at the bottom of a well, but rather above ground level. This change signaled the beginning of the 3-bedroom system.
We are going back now, just to finish this. Okay, and next, bent pyramid. Ho ho ho.
Welcome to the Bent Pyramid of Dashur. After the construction of the Meidum Pyramid failed, Sneferu transferred his residence and the official. Though the pyramid also proved unstable and was abandoned, it marked a technical and architectural breakthrough, heralding an important design trend. The Bent Pyramid was unique in having 2 separate entrances, one on the northern face and another on the western face. The chamber of this pyramid was too small for a human burial. It was probably meant for the burial of a statue designated to house the Ka, the vital spirit of the deceased king. With the Bent Pyramid, architects successfully experimented with a completely new idea: to build the pyramid with a core of huge stones settled on a progressive horizontal design. This way, each construction phase could be completed in a single stage, allowing the architect complete control over every design element. Unfortunately, these precautions did not prevent sagging or cracks in the interior rooms of the pyramid. Sneferu abandoned the monument and began the construction of yet another pyramid.
And next, the red pyramid. So there's bent and there's red. Today weather is changing like crazy. It was sunny, then terribly cold and cloudy, and I can see sun coming through again. Like 3 seasons changing.
Welcome to the
in
Red
1
Pyramid
week.
of Dashur.
We didn't get snow this winter at all.
The Red Pyramid was built 2 kilometers to the north of
Only
the Bent
rain.
Pyramid. It was so named due to
Snowed
the
one
reddish
day
limestone
only,
used in its construction. The Red
before
Pyramid reached
New
a height
Year.
of 105 meters.
And
While the
since then
ground
nothing.
level of the Red Pyramid is lower than that of the Bent Pyramid, its height is virtually the same. The task of making the pyramid a geometrical, true flat-face pyramid brought about yet another new design concept, the descending corridor of the pyramid, which opens to the north, arrives at ground level, where 2 almost identical spectacular chambers with high ceilings are aligned north to south and connected by a short horizontal passage. In the south wall of the second chamber, accessed the annexes of the Red Pyramid consist of a small funerary temple located to the east. A causeway presumably ran due east from the temple, but it has yet to be excavated.
And here we are.
The Red Pyramid was structurally sound, and once finished, marked a remarkable design milestone. Finally successful in his attempts to build himself a suitable funerary monument, Sneferu knew his future beyond death was assured.
Okay. Pyramids of Middle Kingdom. So here we go.
Welcome to Pyramids of the Middle Kingdom. During the Middle Kingdom era, the powerful rulers of the 12th dynasty resumed the tradition of elaborate pyramidal tombs. The plundering of tombs in troubled times prompted the architects of the Middle Kingdom to devise increasingly complicated means of security during construction. As such, while the architectural plans of the Hawara Pyramid were simpler than the one at Dashur, the means used to protect it from looters. The kings of the 13th dynasty began building their pyramids at Mazguna, south of Dashur, then moved on to Fayum and Abydos. The kings of the 17th dynasty, however, satisfied themselves with crowning their cave tombs with small pyramids of raw brick. The kings of the 18th dynasty gave up the shape of the pyramid as a royal tomb entirely. They chose a mountain with a pyramidal shape in the Valley of Kings. It was not until the Nubian pharaohs of the 25th dynasty that kings were once again buried under pyramidal tombs. In fact, today, the area of ancient Nubia, modern Sudan, contains a record number of 220 known pyramids to Egypt's 138. Despite their slow decline in use and quality, pyramids continued to fascinate all and sundry up to the Roman era. They remain to this day a symbol of the religious dedication of the pharaohs and the grandeur of ancient Egypt.
Okay, next. 3 stations. What was that?
Welcome to an overview of the Giza necropolis. The Giza Plateau is located on the west bank of the Nile and was considered by ancient Egyptians as the domain of the dead. The pyramidal complexes found there were built over the span of 3 generations, during the reign of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaura. The Giza area, now famous for its 3 pyramids, is part of a wider grouping of funerary complexes. Rulers from this period generally elected to be buried in the area. The placement of the Giza monuments, and particularly that of the pyramids, followed a practical yet strict alignment. First, they focused on cardinal points, and then they accounted for the natural geology of the plateau.
Completed. Oh, 22. This is gonna be a long one. So what's here? Three types of Egyptian writings. I don't recall we learned that in school. They mentioned only one.
Welcome to the Riddles of the Sphinx. A sphinx was originally meant to be a personification of the... Over the centuries, enthusiasts and historians alike have wondered, who built the Sphinx? Another theory suggests that the Sphinx... While ancient Egypt as a... Red had a strong symbolism in ancient Egypt.
What just happened?
It was both the color of life and the color of death. It could... Dating from the 4th dynasty, approximately 2600 to 25... In order to bring polish to the imposing monument, several blocks of limestone were added after the initial construction phase. Since then, there have been numerous attempts at preservation. The polish present in the game The Sphinx as a whole was carved in situ from a natural stone promontory. The natural bedrock is seen through the oblique natural strata of the Sphinx's body that are similar to the... Since antiquity, people have always believed there was a hidden tomb deep within the Sphinx. It is thought that attempts to plunder the Sphinx began as far back as the First Intermediate period. 12 meters long and cut during pharaonic times, another entrance in the back of the Sphinx aroused curiosity. Although Thutmose IV attempted to seal it off, it was possibly reopened by treasure hunters. It was rediscovered by Howard Vyse and mapped more recently by Mark Lehner. This entrance at the back of the Sphinx leads to different cavities of a few meters each, in directions going inside the statue's body and under the surface. The team has used this opportunity to extrapolate a little more. While there have been no major discoveries pertaining to the Sphinx of Giza in recent years, theories and hypotheses continue to emerge. Without validation provided by archaeological... The first of the main theories as to the Sphinx of Giza's meaning posits that the Sphinx was a... Several scientific projects use... What the Sphinx of Giza represented during its construction and how the Sphinx was perceived by the Egyptians of the New Kingdom are two very different matters. Amenhotep II built a second temple dedicated for the Sphinx as Horemheb to pay... Egyptologist Mark Lehner believed that Amenhotep II built a statue of himself anchored between the paws of the Sphinx, likely to legitimize his reign, alongside a stela found by Salim Hassan. Many other pharaohs of this dynasty, such as Tutankhamun. While sleeping between the Sphinx's paws, the future Thutmose IV saw in a dream. The 15-ton dream stela built by Thutmose IV to commemorate his dream was discovered by an Italian Egyptologist, Giovanni. That same year, Caviglia discovered fragments of the Sphinx. A popular The most plausible hypothesis is based on the research of the German historian Ulrich Harman. During the 1980s, Harman compiled medieval sources written by Arab authors. In doing so, he discovered that the Sphinx was once perceived as a favorable omen, a deity supporting sediment-nurturing floods and crops. Around 1378, a Sufi by the name of Muhammad Sa'im al-Dar could not stand this vision of the monument, and in an iconoclastic act, broke the nose of the Sphinx. According to the texts, he was then hanged and burned between the legs of the Sphinx for his crime.
Okay. Funerary complex. Let's see what's there.
Welcome to Khufu's funerary complex. The Valley Temple was the first architectural component encountered when one entered the funerary complex. It was considered the official entrance of the tomb and mixed the structural components of both a temple and a portico. Khufu's causeway ran from the floodplain up to the plateau, linking together the Valley Temple and the Mortuary Temple. A traditional causeway presented itself as a paved path, enclosed by walls and often roofed. Fragments discovered by archaeologists indicate that the walls in Khufu's causeway, one of the longest known to us, were decorated with carvings and possibly paint. Depictions show a great variety. The most impressive private cemeteries of Giza are located east and west of Khufu's pyramid. The Eastern Cemetery was reserved for members of the royal family, while the Western Cemetery was mostly set aside for various court dignitaries. In both areas, to the east of Khufu's pyramid reside three smaller constructions, the Three Queens. The northernmost pyramid was most likely meant for Queen Hetepheres, who was believed to have been Khufu's mother. However, in 1925, her actual tomb was discovered nearby by accident. It was hidden at the bottom of a deep masonry pit, in an underground chamber. Within the concealed chamber, Egyptologists discovered the most complete royal funerary equipment, dating from the Old Kingdom, though her body was missing. Within the vicinity of Khufu's pyramid, Egyptologists have uncovered 7 boat pits. The exact function of such boat-shaped pits remains unconfirmed, though the 2 southern boat pits, each covered by a roof of huge limestone slabs, were discovered in 1954 by Kamal al-Malak, an Egyptian Egyptologist. The Greek term pyramidion refers to the capstone of a pyramid. A few pyramidia have been retrieved from pyramidal complexes. The earliest, found in Dashur, is undoubtedly a good example of Old Kingdom's pyramid. The pyramidia of the pyramids of Giza were never recovered. The reconstitution you see in the game is fictive, incorporating a golden pyramidion bearing inscriptions relevant to Khufu.
Back and next. 15 stations. Oh, big one.
Welcome to Secrets of the Great Pyramid. Built around 2550 BCE, the Great Pyramid of Giza is considered one of the most iconic structures of Egypt. It is the biggest of the pyramids. The construction of the Great Pyramid was also a display of power and opulence on the part of Khufu. New insights into engineering and ancient Egyptian culture are still being It is interesting to note that by Cleopatra's time, the Egyptians had polished their design, precisely oriented north-south to the fork.
You will have to watch this on your own
In
so
order
you
to
can
achieve the
interact
shape of a
and
true
see
pyramid,
a little more than I show here.
materials for the Great
Won't be
Pyramid
fun if I
consisted
show
of
you
quarried
everything.
limestone blocks, weighing between 2 to 15 tons each. It's estimated that it took between 600,000 and 2 million blocks of stone to build the Great Pyramid. Experts calculate it would have required While the interior chambers were built with red granite from Aswan, most of the pyramid was made from local limestone. The recently discovered logbook confirms that the high-quality limestone of the outer casing. Over the centuries, thieves and travelers attempted to access the Great Pyramid. The main entrance of the Great Pyramid is located 17 meters above ground level. It faces north, likely in order to align with the North Star. The robber's entrance is reported to have been opened in the 9th century by Caliph al-Mamun. Attempts to gain entry to the Great Pyramid and uncover its potential secrets continued throughout the centuries. In the 19th century, the belief that another entry existed at the south side resulted in a hole being blasted into the pyramid's side, with no results for the damage that was done. While the search is still ongoing today to uncover more hidden rooms and passages,
Oh, from one
the
to
Great
I'm
Pyramid
going
of
to
Giza,
next.
upper chambers. At the entrance of the ascending passage, while in reality the robber's entrance is one single cavity which leads to both passages, in the game, the ascending passageway of the Great Pyramid provides a direct path. The ascending corridor has... The Grand Gallery's purpose is still debated among experts. It may have been intended to align with the stars, act as a buffer to protect the King's Chamber, or simply to facilitate the transport of the granite blocks used inside the pyramid. Access to the Queen's Chamber was at the beginning of the Grand Gallery,
Oh my, this goes so slow. And I have to return the same way.
Though this room is referred to as the Queen's Chamber, it is situated exactly within the pyramid's center. In the 19th century, 2 shafts were found. A recent scan of the room indicated the presence of an unknown cavity hidden behind the north face of the walls over the descending corridor. Further investigation is still ongoing to ascertain the nature of the anomaly, so as to avoid risking damage to the monument.
Okay, so I'm moving faster this way. No, 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 no. Where are you going?
Khufu's architects were possibly influenced by earlier rhomboidal pyramids when designing the gallery. While the space is visually dramatic, the gallery seemed to serve a practical function, though what exactly remains uncertain. Still, the wall at the end of the Grand Gallery is the entrance to the The far end of the Grand Gallery leads to a small antechamber with a portcullis, preventing access to the King's Chamber. The portcullis was composed of 3 separate granite slabs. For the purposes of the game, the team elected to remove the portcullis slabs in order to grant the player access to the King's Chamber. The King's Chamber is built entirely out of red granite. As in the Queen's Chamber, there is a granite sarcophagus. Khufu's mummy was never found.
One completed, next
Welcome
starts.
to Jean-Pierre
my.
Houdin's theories.
Whoa! This is fun.
The team wanted to provide players with a sense of exploration and discovery, particularly within the
I
Great
don't need
Pyramid.
this anymore, I guess.
As such, a decision was made that the internal design of the monument in the game would reflect Jean-Pierre Houdin's theories. While the antechambers of the King's Tomb have yet to be discovered, Houdin posits that this is merely due to a unique design, placing the pharaoh's tomb at the center of the pyramid.
Woohoo!
While respecting Houdin's hypothesis as to the general layout of the antechambers, the team wanted the contents to enhance the game experience. In regular royal tombs, the antechambers were filled with all the material goods needed by the pharaoh in the afterlife. To support the feelings of discovery and awe, the art team created a unique and fantastical treasure in this second antechamber.
Okay, let's go. No, 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 no. No. I missed this one. I missed it. How? I have to go back. How do I climb? I have to go back. I missed it. Oh my. No. Okay, how do I go? Okay, can I jump that way somehow? Let's try to do this way. I totally messed up. I missed that one and just didn't work then. Have to go back to pick that somehow. I don't know how. Okay. Okay, let's not mess it up again. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Okay. Let's do it right now. Okay.
Houdin theorized that the ascending corridor and the Great Gallery were used by the workers to haul hoist the heavy beams above the king's chamber.
Okay, so this
He called
is
it the
way.
service circuit. The corridor you are in now was created by the team following Houdin's theory and is referred to as the Noble Circuit.
Okay,
With this
almost
structure in
messed
mind,
up.
one can easily assume that the pyramid's entrance would have been connected to the two antechambers. Modern
have to
research
climb
has
this way?
revealed that a cavity might be located behind the north face chevrons of the pyramid. As such, the team chose to create this area for the player to explore. Here is where Houdin believes that the priests and nobles would have exited the pyramid after the burial ceremony.
Okay, so be careful there. Don't make mistake as I have. Okay.
Many theories regarding the construction of the Great Pyramid rely on the usage of external ramps. However, Houdin believes an external ramp would have been too steep for the upper portion of the pyramid. This is why Houdin's theory states that this internal ramp followed the sides of the pyramid in an ascending spiral pattern. A notch discovered in the edge of the Great Pyramid, known as Bob's Room, seems to support this theory. Located at the corners of each edge of the pyramid, these large rooms would have allowed workers to turn the stone by 90 degrees, allowing them to continue the ascent. The team chose to create rooms such as this one, bringing Houdin's hypothesis to life.
So I need that. I'm stuck, not moving here. Okay. Okay, now it's tricky again. Okay.
This long corridor was the first section of the ascending internal ramp. Through it, the blocks used to build the Great Pyramid would have been carefully moved upward and then turned at each edge of the pyramid in order to continue their ascent. Though the team only created the main ramp for the game, Houdin posits that this ramp had 2 levels, allowing workers to return safely to the bottom thanks to an additional corbelled upper section.
Okay. Don't need this. We're coming out.
According to Houdin, the start of the inner ramp was located at the base of the southeastern face of the
Are we
pyramid.
done?
This location would have been the junction point of the external and internal ramps. Below us, workers would have built the lower part of the pyramid with the external ramp before eventually switching to the internal ramp for the middle and upper sections of the pyramid. At that time in the process, they could have reused the material of the external ramp to fill the center of the pyramid, hauling the stones in through the internal ramp.
Okay, so this is finished. How I skip this one? Hmm? Where is that one? It was somewhere else then, not in this pyramid, so why it's separated to make you skip. Okay. Just a sec. Okay. Hmm.
Welcome to the Great Pyramid. From the original entrance of the Great Pyramid, there is a passage leading to the... While the well shaft was a 58-meter... There is much speculation over the purpose of the well shaft. One theory is that the channel was cut or enlarged. There is a subterranean chamber at the end of... The chamber also contains an 11-meter pit near the east side. It's unclear what... The subterranean chamber's original purpose remains a mystery. One popular theory is that it was originally meant to be Khufu's burial chamber, but the pharaoh changed his mind, preferring to be buried higher up in the pyramid, which would explain the chamber's unfinished state.
Okay. So let's see if we did all. Okay. So this one. 9 stations.
Welcome to Khafre's funerary complex. Since the very beginning of the 4th dynasty, mortuary temples were built adjacent to pyramids on the eastern side. Such a location, facing the rising sun, as well as the world of the living. In its standard form, a mortuary temple was divided into 2 parts. A front area which consisted of a vestibule and a courtyard. The largest of all such structures, Khafre's mortuary temple was entirely built with megalithic blocks of limestone from a nearby quarry and encased with granite. Parts of Khafre's mortuary temple, particularly Khufu's direct successor, Jetafre, followed the custom which required each king to establish a new site for their funerary accommodation, and chose Abu Rawash as his last resting place. When the time came to build his own funerary complex, Khafre, also one of Khufu's sons and the successor to Jetafre, broke with tradition and returned to Giza. Not only did Khafre thumb his nose at tradition, but he did so in a way which he hoped would allow him to Though Khafre's pyramid is smaller than Khufu's, it was cunningly built on a more elevated bedrock layer than the Great Pyramid, making it appear higher than any other pyramid at Giza. Today, Khafre's considered a most sacred area, the Giza necropolis was strictly defined. From the reign of Sneferu and onwards, the subsidiary pyramid. In mainstream media, the Ka is often defined as Within Khafre's subsidiary pyramid, a wooden box containing pieces of cedar was discovered by archaeologists. When reassembled, it turned out to be a shrine mounted on a sled. Just as with the solar barges found around Khufu's pyramid, it seems Khafre's shrine and sled were ritually disposed of after his funeral.
We are going back, and there's one left, I guess. 6 stations. And I think we're done then, totally, with tours.
Welcome to Menkaura's funerary complex. The dimensions of Menkaura's pyramid are much less grandiose. However, unlike its predecessors, Menkaura's pyramid shows a great deal of complexity in its... Menkaura's pyramid contains 2 sloping passages, both located in the northern side of the structure. The upper one was abandoned during the construction phase, whereas the lower one, slightly above the base of the monument, constitutes the real end. While Menkaura's pyramid complex was unfinished at the time of his death, it was hastily and somewhat shabbily completed by his successor, Shepsekhah.
Okay, so climbing now.
Even so, this funerary structure marks a watershed in the history of this kind of monument. From then onwards, the pyramid shrank. Menkaura's causeway was completed in mud brick by the king's successor, whereas the lower part was nothing more than a simple ramp. As for the Valley Temple, it was built in 2 phases. The foundations were first... 3 small structures, referred to as Menkaura's Queen's Pyramids, were erected along the southern side of the main pyramid. One of them was a smooth-faced pyramid. The easternmost pyramid was built with the traditional rooms and corridors found within a satellite pyramid meant to house the king's Ka. However, a granite sarcophagus was found within, leading to the conclusion that it was used as an actual tomb rather than as a symbolic cenotaph. Drawing on these observations, some assume that this pyramid was first built as a satellite pyramid for the king's Ka, before seeing its purpose change to that of a queen's tomb. Which queen, however, remains a mystery.
So, are we done totally? Yeah, Egypt. Done. Pyramids done. Alexandria. Done. Daily life. Done. And Romans. Done. Okay, so tour is done. We're going back and continuing this some other time. Actually, I could jump here and see what's no. Just see something. No controls. I have vibration of it's killing my hands. Okay, so we're going to title screen uh, because I want to see something, because we finished tours, and I want to see, is there something new? So if there is something, we check, because I'm hoping after I finished everything here that perhaps there would be some achievement or something. Okay, so where I go? No, not that. I have some coins there. Okay, coins, achievements. Okay, I have 3 unlocked only. What? Where is it? Namaste. How did that come here? Okay, so that's it. We will continue this some other time. It's time to rest a little and coming back then to play. Tours are finished, done, over. Bye.